Obviously, there are many groups out there. What can you answer the question? This question for the people who are asking: one, does Siseko have the right to speak on behalf of Ambazonians? That's my first question because I have a follow up. Or can you explain what right Siseko has to be the one negotiating on Ambazonians and not all these other groups that some people are mentioning that have to be part of that talk?
First of all, I have not said that Siseko must be the only one to speak on behalf of Ambazonians.
No, but does he have a right to be the one talking at this point? Does he have any right?
Yes, but of course he has every right to speak. Siseko was mandated at the fourth conclave by SCACUF. SCACUF was an assembly of all the liberation movements. People, again, who don't read, don't understand some of these things. People should go and read that Independence Restoration Proclamation and see what is said there. All these bodies we are talking about, they were all assembled there. And they mandated him as the president. The deputy was Tassan. Now they put there. So when I hear people saying that he has no, or is not mandated to speak, I don't understand where they're coming from. But I would have been much more happier if you could say,
no, is there
one in prison? We all should go and join in prison.
Is there any other group that has been that has such a mandate right now?
Pardon?
Is there any other group that has such a mandate that you just described?
I'm not aware that there's any other group. The HCNC, SCAPO, Ambazonia, they were all at a conclave that gave this mandate to these people. That's all. I don't see which other group we're talking about. There's none.
Prof,
I'd like to know that group.
Okay. Can you address another? There is another group that also met in Washington D.C. and you know there are two IGs right now with two presidents running. Do you know about that?
Yes, I know. I'm aware.
Yeah, and how do you? So with what you just said about Siseko, what do you say about the other IG?
No, Siseko has legitimacy. The other IG is a derivative IG. If they were clever, what would have done? They would have formed their own government. They would have formed their own movement. But it's a derivative. Rubbing off from Siseko, that's what it is. So I don't see, because this IG, which came as a result of the mandate that was given at the fourth conclave, it's SCACUF, and it's contained in the Independent Restoration Proclamation, which is there. Now, the other IG you are referring to has no such mandate. There is nowhere. None of these groups are talking about gave them this particular mandate which is given to Siseko. So I don't understand. And the fact that this group still call itself an IG, which was not a founding group of that IG, because the IG was founded at the first conclave with all these other liberation movements present. So what legitimacy, on whose behalf can they claim to speak? Of course they can claim to speak on behalf of themselves and their followership.
Well,
that is not in dispute.
Let me tell you
that they have legitimacy.
Let me tell you what they would. Let me tell you what their response to you would be, Prof. They would say that there was, the group that Cometa represents, that it was a legitimate group it was a legitimate group that endorsed them or installed their own president. How do you answer that?
Well, it doesn't make any sense anyway, but assuming, but without considering the point, that is the case. I don't know what group. Mr. Cometa Elvis was represent the SCNC in where?
In North America, yes.
The leadership of the SCNC is headed by Mr. Mfonfo, who is in jail. And he was there at the fourth conclave. And as a leader, that all of them invested Siseko that legitimacy. So how can you have a faction or a branch of the SCNC that can arrogate to itself the whole SCNC ship and say that we now transfer SCNC allegiance to a group and say we'll now anoint you? Again, but even if that were possible and that was even correct, the fact that you have one group, even if it was for himself who did that, that still does not give this particular group the kind of legitimacy we're talking about here. That is legitimacy derived from liberation movements that represent the people and over the years have been fighting for and claim to speak on behalf of the people.
But Prof, I think, and I just want to stay on this for just a second, because I know what I'm doing here is I'm trying to bring some clarity to some of the noise that is out there. If you Cometa did not anoint their president as Cometa or as head of SCNC. I think it was done as head of Restoration Council, I believe.
And if he did that, even the Restoration Council had no powers. Where did he derive those powers to do that?
Okay, I just wanted you to clarify that part of it. Now let's go back.
How anybody try to look at this, twist this thing? There is no headway. Assuming he was head of the Restoration Council, where does the Restoration derive powers to make what in effect was a coup? Where? And a coup by definition is an illegal thing.